Okay, I will call to order the regular meeting of the Common Council for Tuesday, December 8th. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman Witt,
Here.
Alderman Panis,
Here.
Alderman Doughty,
Here.
Alderman Crawford,
Here.
Alderman Robinson,
Here.
Alderman Anastasia,
Here.
and Alderman Gonzalez.
Here. Please proceed with the invocation.
Dear Lord, we thank you for the opportunity to gather here tonight. May everything we do begin with your inspiration and continue with your help. We ask your guidance throughout this meeting, that all our thoughts and actions would reflect your holy will, and that you would grant us the grace to love you and our neighbors more perfectly. In your name we pray, amen.
Amen.
Okay. Pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America,
America. To the republic. Which is
Nation.
One nation under God.
Under God. Indivisible. Liberty and justice for all.
That was
Okay. Reading, correcting, and approval of the minutes of the previous regular meeting.
The regular meeting of the Olean Common Council was held on Tuesday, November 24th, 2020 at 6:45 p.m. Present, Alderman Gonzalez, Alderman Wood, Alderman Panis, Alderman Doughty, Alderman Crawford, Alderman Robinson, and Alderman Anastasia.
Okay, I will make a motion to approve the minutes from the previous regular meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Witt. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the minutes are approved. We'll move on to committee reports and unfinished council business.
Report from Public Safety Committee on PL 78-20 to authorize the installation of deaf child area signs in the vicinity of the intersection of Henley Street and North 14th Street. Committee recommends approval. Refer to city attorney for resolution.
Okay, communications from the mayor.
Thank you, Paul. I have Sergeant Ron Richardson here tonight. He's down with the Chief Raleigh. He's coming in to view right now. I've asked Ron to come and let the council know a few things about him and to ask any questions that the council may have. So, Ron, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yep.
Okay, go ahead, Ron.
I don't know. I think I know most of you guys. Ron Richardson. I've been police officer with the city for about 32 years. I live in Olean. Been an investigator. Can answer any questions you have for me.
Any comments or questions?
John.
Sure. Hi, Ron. How are you? John Crawford. I was wondering, when you take the role on as chief, what is one of the first concerns that you have coming into into that administrative role?
Well, there are a lot of concerns that I have. One of the major concerns is hiring new police officers. There's really not a lot of people out there to hire right now.
And what might be some strategies that you would see to help with that? Obviously, we've got the older officers retiring. What might be some ideas you would have to help bring in some young individuals?
Well, I really haven't got into a whole lot of that. I'm not sure who all is on the list, if there even is, a valid list right at this time. So.
I have a question. Hi, Ron. This is Linda Witt. And I just wanted to ask, as you know, you're walking in at a time when we have a pandemic. And I was just curious what you see as the city police's, your role in enforcement and just strategizing, keeping the citizens of Olean safe.
That's a very good question. I mean, the big thing is everybody has to continue to wear the mask, social distancing. As far as you know, house parties, that's a tough one. I
Yeah.
really need to get some guidance on that.
That's true.
Ron, I have a question for you. I'm sorry, Linda, were you done?
Yep, I'm done.
Ron, let me ask you this. I know there's a lot of talk in the community going on with the Police Reform Committee. It's not really a police review board per se, but it's a police reform type committee that the governor's mandated been formed. Let me ask you this. What do you think, as chief of police, what would you hope to accomplish from that? And what do you think could be done in regards to police reform to make the city of Olean a better policing agency?
Well, I think anytime we have a question about police brutality, we need to really look at that between several supervisors. Probably right now, the captain in patrol looks at it. And then if he feels that there's anything to it, he would go to the chief. The chief would look at it. Having the body cameras is huge. You can't hide the evidence on the body camera. That works in favor of the community and the police officer.
All right, Chief, I have a question for you, if you don't mind. Considering all that's happening recently in the news with racial tensions and the divide that we've seen within the country, what are your thoughts or concerns on how we can better communicate and build trust between Olean's police department and our minority community here?
Honestly, I've been involved in community policing since the early 90s. I believe that the police officers need to have trust in the community, and the community needs to have trust in the police officers. Mm-hmm. And along those lines, we have to have mutual respect. Community policing has always been my thing. I love Olean, and that's really why I'm doing this.
Thank you.
Hi, Ron. Dave Anastasia. I think I was on the council 32 years ago when you first came aboard. But I was just wondering what your opinion would be, maybe if once you get to be chief, if maybe you yourself, the union president, the mayor, and the common council, whether it be executive session or not, I'm not sure. We could get together, strategize, and see what your police personnel need, what we can do to help you recruit police officers, maybe talk about some contract issues and some incentives that you think that might benefit the city and your police department. I was just wondering if you'd be up for a meeting of that type once you take over.
Absolutely. I'd be very honored to be involved in that meeting.
Good.
So I think we really need that,
Mm-hmm.
That's all I have.
Anyone else?
I wish you luck, Ron.
Thanks, Kevin. Appreciate it.
And I
Thank you, Ron. Appreciate it.
hope the state doesn't defund us.
Me too. I've been here long enough, though I can go. Thank you.
Okay. Bill, anything else?
No, I'm sorry. That's all.
All right. Sorry, I lost my spot. Where the heck are we? Okay, miscellaneous communications.
Application for a liquor license, DBJ Services, Inc., Central Manor, 401 East State Street, Olean.
Okay. City official reports,
We have none.
proposed legislations and referrals.
PL 79-20 by Alderman Doughty, referred to Public Safety Committee by Council President. PL 80-20 by Mayor Elliott, referred to regular meeting Tuesday, December 8, 2020 for resolution by Council President. PL 81-20 by Mayor Elliott, referred to regular meeting Tuesday, December 8, 2020 for resolution by Council President.
Okay, so before we begin the public comment section, I'd like to first offer an opportunity. If anyone from the council would like to make a comment, please do so at this time.
Paul, it's
Yeah.
Linda.
Alderman Witt.
Thank you. I just want to encourage folks to, the holidays are coming up and just stay safe. And, the vaccine eventually is going to be here, and we just have to continue to do what we're doing to remind our relatives and our neighbors to stay safe. And I think, we'll all get through this together, but, we have a couple rough holidays coming up that people are going to be traveling, and we just have to remember to stay safe.
Okay, excellent. Anyone else?
Paul, real quick.
Yep, of course, Alderman Crawford.
Thank you. I just want to send condolences to the Lane family. Eric Lane was a huge believer in Olean, and certainly put his money where his mouth was too. So condolences to his family.
Excellent, excellent point. Anyone else? Okay, seeing none, Lance, you want to read the public comment statement?
The public comment portion of the Olean Common Council regular meeting is established to provide members of the community with the opportunity to publicly state their views, voice their concerns, or to provide input pertaining to any issue affecting city government. Additionally, the mayor, common council members, and city department heads encourage any person with questions to contact them at their offices.
Okay, okay. With that said, I will open the public comment section. If you'd like to make a public comment, just hit the raise your hand button, and you'll have 5 minutes.
We have Danny Gayton. Daniel, go ahead.
How is everybody tonight?
Good.
I hope they're good. I just want to start off by thanking everybody and letting everybody know that, I'm glad to see that the Police Reform Committee is up and running, and along with the Diversity Inclusion Committee is up and running. But I specifically want to talk tonight about the Police Reform Committee itself. I think that the committee, the membership is for the most part decent. I noticed in the meeting you guys talked about having a drug and alcohol problem in Olean, which I agree with it, but there's nobody from CARES on the committee. That's a little concerning, that we're saying that we're having a problem and they're not represented on the committee itself. But that being said, I also have much concern, as I've stated before, with the amount of time that the city has to actually get this plan done. And I think the best way to talk about it is to put it in context. Throw out April 1st as if it's a long ways away. But if you're only meeting every 2 weeks, that's only 6 meetings, which is an hour long. That's only 6 hours. So to look at a whole department in 6 hours, I don't think that the city would have signed a contract for a private vendor to come in and look at a department and only pay them 6 hours to do that. I think that's a little rough. And with that, I would also, the mayor and the common council president had the ability to put this thing together a long time ago. I understand that there were some things that got in the way of that, and maybe push that can down the road a little bit. But what I'm looking for is a commitment from the mayor, who I know really wants to do the right thing, but I'm looking for a commitment that after April 1st, that this committee will stay intact to work on this issue and to keep this moving forward. I'm under no, I fully understand that you have to check the boxes in order to get the funding, but I think we need to do more than check the boxes, and that would involve a commitment from the mayor to move past April 1st. Cuba, New York has already started this process months ago, and it shames me to say Cuba's a great place to live, but it shames me to say that they're actually ahead of us. Jamestown is blowing our doors off when it comes to where they're at. So to say we're on track, I think is a little misleading. So we're going to need that commitment from the mayor, and I know he's going to give it to us. I have confidence in you. And also from a committee standpoint, I just think that, the committee itself is good. The committee itself is solid. For the most part, I do question having the chief of police ahead of that, not just because of the person, but the position. You can't reform something that you supervise. And I do know that if Richardson steps in, he'll do the best job he can, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he'll do the best job for the city. I think that committee should have been set up with the chief and a common council person, both as heading that committee, together as co-chairs, a common council person that follows the laws and follows the rules, and co-chair along with the chief of police. So I think we missed the opportunity with that, and you missed an opportunity to have the public really buy into it when that decision was made. And maybe you can rectify that now. I'm not sure. But I also want to just send a little shout out for the diversity committee. As much as I believe that Chief Richardson would have made it through the diversity committee, I believe that my belief was that before you appointed a chief of police or presented a chief of police, that would have been a great opportunity to run that appointment through the diversity committee. As just say, hey, we're looking at this. What do you guys think? Do you think we did a good search? Do you think that the appointment itself is a good one? It would have been a great opportunity to use that committee to push your agenda forward, and get a lot of public buy-in. There's no doubt in my mind that I believe Richardson would have made it through that committee, but it would have been a good start to utilize that committee in a way that it should be utilized. So these are my concerns. My concerns really are around timeframes, and I really wish that I think it's time to just stand up and say, you know what? We took too long in setting up the police reform committee. We understand that. We know that. Here's our commitment to the city moving forward after April 1st. And, give a commitment to the city that, you're going to do the right thing and not just check the boxes. And I think that'll go a long way in installing that trust in the community. But I don't think you get that until you get your commitment, is how I feel. And I think, like I said, Mayor, I think you want to do that, and I think you should do that. And as far as as the time it took to set that committee up, we have to be honest with ourselves and just say that it just took too long, and too long for the mayor and the common council president to set that up. So let's just be honest and then get the commitment. With that, I think my 5 minutes is up. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Gayton. Who's next?
We have Craig. I don't know who this is. Craig, I guess.
Yeah, can you hear me? It's Craig Close.
Your name is deceiving, Craig, because you're not from Olean.
Oh, yeah. Hey, cut that out. So you can hear me?
Yes.
We hear you.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Crawford, Mr. Doherty, and Ms. Witt. These are the folks I know on the council. Nice to see you. I just wanted to start out. I also wanted to discuss the police reform committee.
Hold on there, Mr. Close. You said your name is Craig Close?
Yes, last name is Klose.
And you live in Olean?
I live in the town of Olean. I live a couple paces outside of the city of Olean.
Okay, good to know.
So I wanted to talk about some of my concerns about the police reform committee. One of the first ones is just the size of it. I believe it's 23 people, if I'm not mistaken. That's an enormous number of people on a committee like that. As a general rule, groups that have more than 18 or to 22 people become very challenging to manage. Consensus gets extremely difficult as the group gets larger. The Harvard Business Review tells us if you are trying to solve an issue or make a decision, there should be no more than 8 people on a committee. So a committee of the size of that you have seems just extraordinary. One possible approach to solving this is possibly you could take some of the people and turn them into consultants. They could be specialty area consultants. It's just a very awkward number of people. Next, I wanted to really briefly address the role of the head of the group. Our understanding is that the chief of police, and I understand that that role is also changing, is going to be the head of that committee. That seems really inappropriate to a lot of people. I don't know how this kind of thing can happen. It immediately sets up the appearance of irregularity or impropriety. Obviously, the police should have a seat at the table, but it's as Kevin put it very well, you can't reform a group that you're the head of. It's just not appropriate. Okay, at this point, I wanted to quickly address the makeup of the group. It seems like there's a very good representation from the establishment types, if you want to call them that, office holders, ex-military, ex and current police, government officials. But there is a notable lack of what I would call regular old community stakeholders. And I do not mean to impugn or prejudge this group that has only met once, but it seems to me that you can count on a group that is formulated in that way to approach problems of race and bias in policing in the same way as they've always been approached. Also, I think it's really important to get a little bit more youth on that board. The age is skewed really, really old. And I know I'm an old guy, and I really like to see younger folks, especially on a group like that. And I think you should look to finding more community advocacy types. People like Dr. Chris Stanley come to mind right away. So that is what I wanted to say about the group itself. Also, when you spoke a few minutes ago about somebody asked Mr. Richardson what he might do about around the police reform committee, and nobody said anything. And he also talked about hiring new officers, that was one of the top priorities. I certainly hope we're thinking about getting some racial diversity on, I think that's a top priority. And I think we have to say that and can keep saying it. Most people in town assume good faith intentions on everyone on the Common Council and on the Police Reform Committee. And I'm just trusting that you will all live up to our expectations. And thank you for hearing me out.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Close. Who's next?
Okay, I have, not sure who this is. Go ahead and identify yourself.
Hi, my name is Victoria Swear. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you just fine.
All right, great. Well, I want to take the time first to thank the council for accommodating us today, especially in such strange and, technologically challenging times. It's absolutely crucial that you extend an ear to the public, especially on matters like this one. And I know all of us here are grateful for this opportunity to be part of our local government. As much as I wish that I could be here today to commend people for the hard work, long hours that you are all no doubt putting in these days, I do need to get to the real reason why so many of us are here today. Back in April, our town came together in a way that I've never personally seen before. We were fighting for social justice, systematic reform. We marched, protested, held fundraisers, vigils, and began the process of participating in local government, all while facing a pandemic. It was during this time we began attending meetings at the John Ash Center to discuss the need for local action on these issues. This process spanned several weeks, with many personal stories and statistics being given to the Common Council. By the end of these meetings, many in the community felt no closer to a resolution than when we began. This past week, the first meeting for the Police Reform and Reinvention Committee was held. This means there was approximately 4 months from when we started bringing these concerns to the council to the time when they first met, when the first meeting took place. It's largely understood that nothing happens overnight, especially in government. But many of us feel that having been made aware of Executive Order number 203 in June, that certainly something more should have been done before this point. Moving forward, the Reform Committee has only approximately a collective 6 hours left worth of meetings to address the concerns of this community and ultimately this nation. Having watched the first meeting, I have to note the call to order didn't start until 20 minutes into the video. This has to be expected when you're trying to accommodate so many people's schedules while also adjusting to the technological difficulties that come with this current situation. If this trend continues, though, that 6 hours I mentioned before could begin to erode further and further. Unfortunately, in government, a lot happens behind closed doors, and our local government is no different. While I will counter this by saying that citizen-wise for years, involvement has been low, now that there is so much involvement from the community, it is hard to see why so many decisions are still made silently and without the input from us. It's not always an easy task ranking issues in order of importance, as everyone values them on a different scale. We can, however, agree, hopefully, that this issue is incredibly important, not only to so many personally, but it's important enough to have a state mandate for reform. I therefore personally struggle to see why large decisions such as nominations should be made without any input from the community. Today, we are coming to ask that everyone on this council take this issue as seriously as we do and accept that there is a serious chance that the April deadline will come and go without our ability to invest the time and energy needed into this order. We feel strongly that an extension on the April deadline is vital to the success of this critical task, and residents feel that extra time is frankly owed to us because of the delays that we've faced since day one. Again, I want to thank you for your time, and I sincerely look forward to the progress this entire city can make on this issue as we work on it together.
Okay, thank you, Victoria. Next.
I have Sam, not sure who this is. Sam, you Hiddle, I guess it is. Would you identify yourself, please?
Yes, I'm Samantha Hiddle. I am a Olean resident. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
All right. So my questions and concerns are also about the Police Reform Committee. I just, once the main chairperson was, sorry, I'm doing 30 things at once, was announced that it would be Chief Rowley. A lot of people were upset about that fact, especially with him saying that he did not believe in the cause of police reform. So I was wondering if that would be able to be looked upon and realize that how can something really be changed with the head person being somebody who isn't in believing of such a thing.
I'm sorry, are you asking us a question? This isn't really a Q&A session. This is.
Okay, well, I can put it in a statement. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I just don't feel that somebody who has stated that they do not believe in police reform can really be on a committee to change anything. And it seems like there's a lot of things that need to be discussed and changed.
A very worthy concern and question. Anyone?
I'd like to.
Sam,
I'd like
Kevin,
to
do you want to speak?
I have Mickey. Mickey, you're up. Mickey, identify yourself, please.
Mickey George, Ward 3. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Mr. Mayor, Common Council, officials, I just wanted to bring something to your attention. I sent out an email to you all before the meeting. And in that email contains a petition that several people in the community have signed asking for a replacement for the chair of the Police Reform Committee. As other people have mentioned, they don't feel it would be wise and that it's a conflict of interest at best. But specifically, there's 4 points that I wanted to bring to your attention. One of them being the petition. Another one is the time remaining. As people have previously stated, it really doesn't look good to create a comprehensive, community-oriented, justly representative police reform plan by April. So I think I would ask that every one of you come up with some ideas on how to speed up the process and make it as efficient as possible for the rest of the committee. Another item is the committee being headed by establishment types and older generation mainly. And we don't feel that it's inclusive enough of the younger generation. And to anybody that feels the same, I would urge them to listen as best they can to the younger ones that sit on this committee. Very different viewpoints on a lot of things, and an awful disconnect as some of my generation, Gen X, Y, Z, were raised with the internet, you know, from day one. And it's a whole different sort of mindset, a global culture, if you will, a global hive mind. And we move as one. If you want to keep up with the times, listen to the young people. Another item is a lack of transparency in the local government / city hiring processes. What qualifications does a police chief need to meet? And are those qualifications right for the city of Olean going forward? Lastly, based off the comment Kevin made earlier, you may not feel that the state has much to offer the city of Olean, and that may explain the minimalist approach, but it's much more than that. If we're to attract more people and business to Olean, we need to be able to keep up culturally on the same pace as more desirable cities. And if nothing else, ensure people feel more as though their community is vested in them and not the other way around. If we're losing money, people, and investment, it has everything to do with the actions taken and not taken in this city. And that's all. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mickey.
Okay, we have Ty Malone.
Can everybody?
You there?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay. I would just like to thank everybody who has spoke tonight. I'm really impressed that everybody is getting involved in this and being engaged. I also would like to pretty much echo everything that everybody has said. I first would like to also thank the mayor for making the process of the police committee being open to the public so they can see, very transparent. That said, I have spoken to many people in the community also, and they have expressed their concerns on the time restrictions placed on the community and the committee to accomplish meaningful reform. I understand these concerns, and I'm asking the city council and the mayor if they share these feelings. I know this isn't a question and answer. You guys always say that, which I think you guys should look into that because it's pretty rude. But if you do feel those concerns, maybe you could apologize for dropping the ball and letting it get to this point. I'm sure you agree with council and mayor that 6 hours to reform the police department is just delinquent in so many levels. I would also ask everybody to just take a second to think about that. 6 hours to reform the police department when your guys' favorite saying is the government moves slow and we can't accomplish anything in 6 hours. So we could only wish everything else in the government worked that way, in the city government. Council, you share the same blame in this also. You stood by and said nothing. At any time, you could have took the control and set it up or put pressure on the mayor to get this done. So maybe you should apologize to the community also. This isn't like passing laws on chickens. This could literally be life and death for some. I would like to propose that if you, mayor, and the council agree with the people that 6 hours is just insufficient for you guys to join in with the people on a letter to the governor and the attorney general, maybe asking them for an extension of time. I would also ask if maybe we could have some transparency on the diversity committee, knowing what they look at. Will they be looking at the hiring of the chief and other city employees? I would hope that they would. And that is it. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Malone.
We have Sarah Keenan.
Hi, can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Well, hello, good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me here. My name is Sarah Keenan. I am a local Olean resident, currently located around North First Street. And I would like to read to you what I have kind of put together, because I'm going to be honest, I am nervous. I haven't done a public comment, and I hope you'll bear with me and take what I say into reflection for your decisions tomorrow. So good evening. Thank you all again for listening to our public comments and concerns. To start my few minutes out, I'd like to begin with what we are doing right. Everyone tuned in here is here for a greater cause, our community first. We interact and live amongst each other on the daily. A pandemic hasn't stopped our support for our local community. We are doing right by our community by being here. Listening to our officials and listening to our members, creating committees that encourage the engagement and discussion between our representation is a step in the right direction, although we still have far to go in the view of our community. We, the people, are the voters for this community. A vote is an extension of our voice. I am here today to use my voice to express my concerns as well. If we go around in a circle, you could almost explain simply that the elected officials answer to the community. The community answers to the social contract, to the laws that are enforced by the officers, which the officers report to the chief, who is in turn appointed by the mayor, elected by the community. Within this cycle, we now have committees to refer to. These committees, such as the Police Reform Committee, are a great way to build the communication and transparency between our local officials and common citizens. I ask that our council members keep in mind these points. When a community has a voice, no matter how big or how small, you, our representatives, our committee members who are willing to take the initiative to address these concerns as they arise, is the symbol of community engagement. And I'm looking at all of you. I can see you guys. You guys can't see me very well, but I can see you guys. All right. So the community that you serve, that you love, whether it's a protest or a petition or a public comment, something is being said. Say the answer to yourself. Who are the ones listening? Basic discussion derives from engagement. When a term is broadcasted, defund, reform, restructure, where's the discussion about what these really mean in the larger picture for all aspects of our community? I see reform not as changing everything as once. I see reform as forming a discussion to revamp any policies or procedures that need a little TLC. Hearing anyone say that reform is not the answer is like saying discussion is unnecessary. Discussion is always necessary when it comes to community engagement, transparency, accountability, and achieving our overall goal that is to make Olean greater, who we work and live. These committees are our first step in building a greater Olean. It would be a shame to see the hard work come to an end just because of a due date, April 1st. It would be a shame to see the communication accessibility dissolve over time, such as the live streams, the YouTubes, the online broadcasting. Man, that has made it so easy for my people of generation Gen Z, millennials, whatever. Like, we love it. We can do what we want to do in our free time while engaging. It'd be a shame to see our community end up disappointed and let down by those who we look to. I'm just another person in the sea of Olean, just in my early 20s, starting my career on my own committees for work, into my own hobbies. I engage myself in my community to show my passion and care for the place that I hope to see prosper socially, economically, and educationally. I'd like to end by sharing this quote by an unknown author with the initials HF. Coming together is a beginning. Staying together is progress. And working together is success. Now, I really thank you for your time tonight and listening. And like I said, I really hope that what you hear today reflects on your decisions tomorrow and the days to come. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you very much.
Leo. Go ahead, Leo.
All right, am I unmuted there?
Yep.
All right, perfect. I just wanted to start by expressing my concern, multiple concerns, frankly. My first concern is the nature of the appointment for the Police Reform Committee. Policing themselves has been what has got us into this situation. There is no external review. There is no external accountability. So basically what's happening when we appoint the chief of police, no matter who they are or how good their intentions are, not talking about people here, I'm just talking about structurally. When we appoint the chief of police to head the Police Reform Committee, that's absolutely circular logic. And it's disheartening to see that we've seen systemic fallout from that in America. And Mayor Ailio is saying, yep, the way forward is to keep doing things the same way. The situation in Olean as it is right now is not that we are bad off, but it's that we must progress. I've said this multiple times, we're only ever one generation away from extinction as a city. And right now we are very comfortable with that. And we seemingly are okay with that. We're making and creating policies that don't enhance diversity. We're seeing our leadership make decisions behind closed doors without the consideration of constituents who have been vocal and have been showing up. And we're perpetuating systems that have already proven themselves to be flawed by appointing a police officer, regardless of who the person is, to reform the police. Law enforcement should absolutely be present at the conversation because there's professional knowledge that I will never have as someone who's not in law enforcement. However, asking the police to police themselves is what has led us to the system that we are in. You can't ask a broken system to fix a broken system. Again, as I mentioned before, these sorts of decisions are being made behind closed doors with no discussion. From what I can tell, there was no public discussion about city chief, which was a demand which was a request that had been submitted by multiple city residents via our petition campaign for people to contact their aldermen. One of the main requests was that citizens would be involved in the selection of a new police chief. That was made behind closed doors with absolutely no public input, and from my understanding, no interviews, further conversation. There seems to be a lack of transparency coming out of the mayor's office, and that's incredibly disturbing to me as an individual, because essentially what you're telling people is we want you to participate in government, but only if you keep your mouths shut. You know what I mean? It's not actually facilitating discussion, and that's really disheartening to me as someone whose vote should be earned and not expected. And it says a lot to me about a person who wants to continue to perpetuate a system as it has been and as they want to keep it going. Additionally, with the retirement and the appointment of the chief as the head of the committee, it has been a massive impeding force to the Police Reform Committee. We have had months and months and months to do this. Yet, like a thief in the night, the committee comes out of nowhere with no public knowledge or prior knowledge ahead of time. And then this committee that's tasked with reforming a system that is hundreds and hundreds of years old and built on slave chasing and racist policies, we're asking people to solve that system in 6 hours. That's absolutely absurd. That's not enough time. And it has been strategically delayed to this point, so as to impede the progress that we can make. And I'm not fooled by that. I'm not fooled by that. It's 2020, we have technology and we have ready and willing people who want lead in this town, but they just don't seem to be in the mayor's office yet. And that's concerning to me. Both Cuba, New York and Jamestown, New York have managed to create police reform, have managed to release information on the history of racial breakdown in their policing, and make comprehensive policies that were already engaged. Both towns from our region, both towns with makeups that are similar to ours, and we can't even get our committee together. And then when we finally get that committee, we say, so the police needs to be reformed. Let's give the police sole charge. It's a little disheartening to me, and it makes me feel like, frankly, this is not being taken seriously. Makes me feel like our requests are going to go unremembered, just as the times that I've met with Mayor Alio before were blatantly unremembered, as stated in one of our previous town hall meetings. I met with Mayor Alio multiple times about an issue that I had as a small business owner. And then this summer at our town hall meetings, Mayor Alio didn't even remember meeting with me. That's how insignificant that meeting was. So we have had an intense amount of political interest and engagement in Olean this summer. And I'm incredibly proud of the people of Olean for showing up and for showing up continually. But I would like to see that effort met with some sort of effort coming out of our head office in our town. It would seem appropriate to me that these concerns be listened to and not just pushed under the rug again. And if they are pushed under the rug again, I say this not to be sarcastic or hyperbolic, but there are a lot of eyes watching, and there are a lot of people that are dissatisfied with the continual recycling of good old boy club members. We need better representation, we need diversity, and we need progress and change, and we need leaders who will lead and who will support that. Thank you.
Ezra Johnson.
Okay.
Ezra, you on?
Yeah, hello?
Yep, you there?
Yep, I'm here. So first off, I hate to sound like a complete echo to everything that's been going on, but first off, I do want to thank you, Mayor Alio, for the transparency in the police reform board and with all that going on. But however, I feel like everybody else that has just told you how they felt about it at the time. It took more than 6 hours to form this committee, obviously, since we've been trying to do this since back in, I believe, June or July it was, that this first happened. And now we're at the point where we have 6 hours to plan for this committee. I do feel that you do owe the city an apology for the time that it took you to do all these things. And secondly, I do want to say congratulations to Sergeant Richardson on his achievement of becoming a chief of Olean. But however, community policing takes some defunding. And that's one of the things you said you would like to bring back to Olean. And unfortunately, we can't do that without defunding the police. As Alderman Kevin Doherty said in his statement just a few minutes before the comment got started. But I would also like to see the diversity committee become more transparent, just like the police committee is. With that being said, like, what was the diversity committee even really formed for? Because it was formed to have inclusion, to see like, oh, are we really doing the right hiring practices within the city? But we look at it and they didn't even know that there was going to be an opening for the police chief, or that there's another opening for the police to even hire somebody that doesn't fit the status quo, you could say. So I ask that you really take a step back, Mayor Alio, and look at the situation and find that 6 hours is no way, shape, or form enough time to reform the police department. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Ezra.
That's it, Paul.
Okay.
Paul,
Yes, Alderman Doherty.
I just wanted to clarify that I am not in favor of defunding the police. I also apologize to no one because I mean what I say when I say things. So I'm sorry that some people misunderstood that, and I hope that wasn't the misnomer. I also wanted to defend Police Chief Rowley because I don't believe he's ever said some of the things that were being said about him tonight in terms of him not thinking the police department needed reform. I believe he was. I think he was more concerned with the fact that we don't have police brutality in our area to the extent that other places do. I've personally never seen police brutality. I've never seen it in the newspaper or anything like that. So, and the last thing was I wanted to actually ask the mayor at a public meeting, the intent of the police reform committee, and maybe I want to get some clarification on this. The intent of the police reform committee is to reform policies of the police department, potentially creating other organizations off of that, like, like the committee for reviewing the police encounters, things like that, but not actually to create a police reform, or not to do anything more than the police department than to be continuing in perpetuity of reviewing police policies and just continuing. I don't believe we have 6 hours to get that done. I believe we had to create the committee before April, and then this committee is just in existence and does its job as it's supposed to be done. And Mayor, please correct me if I'm wrong on any of that.
One of the things that may come of this committee, and it's been said before, if this committee feels that a police review board, the city needs a police review board, then that can be one of the items that can come out of what the findings that this committee will have. So that can happen. This committee is formed to review the policies of the Olean Police Department, to look at what the community wants their police department to be, and that's the purpose of this committee. And we do have to have a plan to Albany by April 1st. It was said at the first committee meeting, if an hour is not enough, we can adjust that. I'm not opposed to adjusting that. If bi-monthly meetings are not enough, we can do it. We can go every week. We can go twice a week. We'll discuss that at the next committee meeting, and we can get that done. So we will move it forward. I do have, there's a question of not enough youth involvement. Danny, our school resource officer, Dan McGraw, he's on the committee, and I've already talked to him about forming a group amongst the school of our youth to give him their ideas, that they want to see what the Olean Police Department should be. So there is some things in motion, and give the committee a chance. I know there's a lot of people on the committee, but there's many, everybody is on here is at the suggestion of the governor's committee that put together the manual. Every person on there represents certain aspects of the community. So the idea was to get a well-rounded, committee together that can speak for many people in the community. So.
Okay. Anyone else? No other public comment from the public. Does any other alderman or anyone in the room want to have any other thing to say? Anything else to say? Okay, I will call the public comment section closed. We will move on to finance and bills.
We have none.
Okay, resolutions.
Resolution 89-20, PL 71-20 by Alderman Crawford, seconded by Alderman Robinson, to amend the City of Olean Charter Article 3, Division 4, to include Section 3.090 containing qualifications for the city auditor.
Okay. Okay, so we did, we have discussed this quite a bit in committee. Any comments, questions, or concerns? Alderman Crawford, anything you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, I just, I wanted to reach out to Nick, and I did so ahead of time. I've reached out to the alderman ahead of time, just to make sure that we're following the correct procedural path. And so I've reached out to NICOM as well. This change may require public hearing And so, although it should not require any sort of referendum change, there's no new office being created or anything like that. But I do want to get legal opinion from Nick, as I see he's here.
Yep. So John, I think that it would probably be appropriate to do this rather than how it's structured as an ordinance, it appears, but to rather do it as a local law, hold the public hearing, and then vote after the public hearing. So that's a date that you could set tonight, I believe. You could set a date for the public hearing, perhaps for the next meeting and pass it then.
All right. Any other complications with this, Nick? You don't?
No, I think that
I read the regulations for what requires, a referendum.
and it does not meet those requirements at all.
No. Okay.
So procedurally speaking, Nick, would we just treat this like a PL instead of being a resolution? Would just be a motion to postpone?
Yes. You could, what I would do is I do a motion to amend the current PL to change it to a local law, and then push it down for the next meeting after a public hearing.
Okay.
And I don't know if Tiffany's on to set the timeline for the public hearing or not, if she could chime in on that.
I did check with the local law. We only need 5 days advance notice of the public hearing. So
Okay, so we should be good.
Publish and do this all on the 22nd.
Okay.
John, do you want to do that or?
Yeah, that works for me. If you need a motion, I'll go ahead and make a motion to amend this, as Nick said, to I'm sorry, Nick, what was that? To a local law?
The local law.
Okay.
I'll second.
Seconded by Alderman Robinson. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. So now the resolution will be referred to the next regular meeting.
Yeah, it'll be postponed to the next regular meeting.
Okay. And do we need a motion to postpone or no?
Yes.
Okay, I will make a motion to postpone to the next regular meeting. Second by Alderman Doherty. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so that is all set.
Thank you. Thank you, Nick.
Thanks,
No
John.
problem.
Okay, onward.
Going.
Yep.
Resolution 95-20, PL 78-20 by Alderman Robinson, seconded by Alderman Doughty, to authorize the installation of 4 deaf child area signs near the intersection of Henley Street and North 14th Street.
Okay, discussed in committee. Any comments, questions, or concerns? Okay, seeing none, will the clerk please call roll?
Alderman Witt,
Yes.
Alderman Panis,
Yes.
Alderman Doughty,
Yes.
Alderman Crawford,
Yes.
Alderman Robinson,
Yes.
Alderman Anastasia,
Yes.
and Alderman Gonzalez.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0. Resolution 96-20, PL 80-20, to confirm the mayor appointment of John M. Hart as city attorney effective July 1, 2021. We are going to need sponsor for that vote.
Okay, Mayor, would you like to speak to this?
Yes, as you know, Nick will be leaving us to be the city court judge. So we all need a city attorney. John Hart was a city attorney many years ago under John Ash administration, and for a short time in the Jim Griffin administration. And he has also been the city attorney for the URA, Urban Renewal Agency. He knows the job. He's very good, and I think he'll be a nice addition to our family, city family.
Okay. Any comments, questions, or concerns from the council?
I have a question. So Mayor, will he have to step off the URA?
I understand, no.
Okay. The other question, is he one of the ethics board members? Do we have to replace him on the ethics board?
we probably will have to replace him there, yes.
Okay. Thanks.
Nick, you'll be greatly missed.
Okay, any other comments or questions?
Thank you, Kevin.
Okay, so I will sponsor. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second.
Second by Alderman Crawford. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman Witt,
Yes.
Alderman Panis,
Yes.
Alderman Doughty,
Yes.
Alderman Crawford,
Yes.
Alderman Robinson,
Yes.
Alderman Anastasia,
Yes.
and Alderman Gonzalez.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0. Resolution 97-20, PL 81-20, to confirm the mayoral appointment of Ronald J. Richardson as police chief effective January 15th, 2021. We also going to need sponsor for that.
Okay. Any comments, as discussed earlier in the meeting, any additional comments, questions, or concerns?
Paul, just real quick, I want to let the public know that, we've discussed this, in executive session. I've done my homework, and I'm sure many of us have. I asked many city officials and residents about Ron Richardson, and I couldn't find one person to say something bad. So I think we're in really good hands. I appreciate Jeff Rowley's service to our city, but I do believe truly that we're in good hands.
Okay. Can't disagree with any of that, John. Definitely.
I second that, John. I'll sponsor, Paul.
Okay.
I'll
Sponsored
second.
by Alderman Anastasia. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Alderman Doherty. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman Witt,
Yes.
Alderman Panis,
Yes.
Alderman Doughty,
Yes.
Alderman Crawford,
Yes.
Alderman Robinson,
Yes.
Alderman Anastasia,
Yes.
and Alderman Gonzalez.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Okay. I will make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Well, can we adjourn, in the honor of Eric Lane? Can the meeting be adjourned in the honor of Eric Lane?
Yep. I will make a motion to adjourn in the honor and memory of Eric Lane. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Alderman Crawford. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And we are adjourned.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Night, everybody.
Congratulations, Chief.
Good night.
I'll see you in 20, Jason.